marks, exclamation marks, quotation marks, and brackets, as you can see there. And here we are, in case you're wondering, who is your presenter? Without waiting, let's go straight ahead with the lessons, and we're first going to look at question marks. Now, this is fairly obvious, as you will see. There's nothing complicated about using a question mark. It's merely there to indicate that a question has been asked. And I've made a little comment there, including rhetorical questions, which are questions to which no reply is expected. But because they are questions, they still have to have a question mark. And here is a very good example of a rhetorical question. If I were to ask you that, I think you would know very well that no reply is expected. I'll look you in the face and say, "Are you kidding me?" Which implies that you're lying. Okay. And there's another simple example. "Hi, how are you?" And, you know, in South Africa, we always ask, "Hello, how are you?" "I'm fine, how are you?" It's the standard thing. But if it's written down, it will need a question mark. Right, and here is a straightforward question. There you can read it for yourselves. I'm not going to read it to you, but you will notice that because it is a question, it ends with a question mark. Then there is another question. Perfectly simple, perfectly straightforward, nothing complicated about this at all. And let's move on to a classic question always asked in the classroom. "Why are you late?" Did I get the tone correct? I think so. Okay, those are question marks for you. As I say, perfectly simple. Let's move on to exclamation marks. And here is the main purpose of exclamation marks, although there are two more. It's something where there is emotion in a sentence. It doesn't matter whether it's happiness, sadness, anger, any emotion, as long as it's strong. I mean, if I were to say to you, "I'm bored," that would actually be a sentence with an emotion, with emotion in it, but it's not strong emotion. So that doesn't get an exclamation mark. But there we are, interjections. And I'll give you examples of those now. And shouting or orders. Right? Here, let's look at, so it's those three. Let's look at some examples of this. There is your classic interjection. "I've just hit my thumb with a hammer. What do I say?" Actually, I'm likely to say a lot more than just "ouch," but we'll keep it there for now. And there's an order, which is both shouted and an order. "Get out of here." That obviously requires an exclamation mark. And here is one with emotion in it. And you've got, the sentence starts with an interjection. You see that there. "Wow, this tastes fantastic." So that definitely takes exclamation marks. It's a positive emotion. I like to be positive. And here's a negative one. "This is absolutely disgusting." You can tell just by the sound of it, it will need an exclamation mark. Now we go on to quotation marks. All right, you'll see there are two different types. Which must you use? The simple answer is, when you are writing, just use the double ones. They do a lot better because they stand out on the page and the person reading can see it more clearly. Now, it says there, quotation marks have another name, that's inverted commas. You must please remember that, because the terms are used interchangeably in many instances. And you've got their main use to indicate direct speech, and then their original use when quoting what somebody has said. Okay, you've got to distinguish between direct speech and quoting because the punctuation system is slightly different for that. We'll look at examples. Right, there we go. A very simple example of direct speech. "I'm hungry," said Timothy. Right, no problem there. You can see where the exclamation marks must go. Here then is a second example of direct speech. And you've got Larato said, I waited 2 hours before I got helped. And you can see where the exclamation marks go. It's around what was said in each case on the screen here. Here is a third one. Now, this is a quotation. Okay, and you've got, these are the words of Jesus, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. You see open quotation marks and then close quotation marks. Remember, you've always got to open and close them. They're always used in a pair. And there, now we go on to brackets. Good, we're making good time. And there you see what brackets look like. Again, this is something with two different names. Brackets are also called parentheses, right? Now, there is their purpose: to insert additional information into a sentence or into a paragraph. Right, that's what brackets are all about. That's the key. And here we look at an example. We've got here, Thabo scored the goal, and in order to insert extra information to indicate that he is the captain of the team, we put that in brackets, maybe as an afterthought. Thabo, the captain, scored the goal. Okay, now here I'll read this one to you because it contains some very funny words. In certain areas, people still contract Yersinia pestis, and then obviously it's inserted bubonic plague because not many people know what Yersinia pestis is. That's a complicated Latin term, right? So the words bubonic plague are put in brackets obviously by an editor in order to clarify the meaning of the sentence. Okay, and then we've got the most skilled mechanic was the only one permitted to work on the Bugatti. And again, the mechanic's name is inserted between brackets as an extra thought. And don't go away. What I have next for you is this. Please give this task a try. If you have paid close attention to what was said, there it is. Everybody enjoy, and I hope that you enjoyed this.